KWT slaying.
What if the truth was never lost, only buried? For centuries, historians, scholars, and even colonial records have confirmed what many tried to silence. The original Israelites were a black people scattered across continents but never erased. Their skin was dark, their customs ancient, and their covenant with Yah eternal. This journey uncovers how the Spanish and Portuguese Jews, described as dark-skinned, Semitic, shared one bloodline. Chased by the Inquisition, many fled to Portugal, then beyond, preserving their heritage across borders. But the story doesn't end in Iberia. Across from West Africa, black Jews built synagogues, kept Torah, and passed down the laws of Moses. The Limba in southern Africa, the Igbo in Nigeria, the Beta Israel in Ethiopia, tribes across the continent boldly declared, "We are the children of Israel." These aren't isolated claims. These are voices rising from the dust, connected by oral histories, Torah traditions, and the unbroken rhythm of their identity. No such legacy exists among European Jews. No centuries of tribal witness, no matching traditions, no trace of ancient covenant keeping. Maps, art, and archaeology tell the same story. The Israelites were scattered, enslaved, and displaced, but never lost. The world always knew who they were. Their presence was visible, their customs alive, their story intact. This book doesn't speculate. It confirms the Israelites were black, bound by blood, culture, and covenant to the Most High. This is not just history, it's restoration. The truth was never destroyed, only buried beneath centuries of deception. Get your copy of They Always Knew We Were Israelites today, available now on Amazon.com.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Shabbat Shalom. How y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. Give me a one if I sound okay, too, if not. Okay, thanks. So we can tell by looking at world events that there is nothing new under the sun. And, if you think back about a lot of our history as the true Israeli, a lot of stuff, really just becomes a bit obvious. The more you learn Torah and learn your history, and you're able to connect the pieces where, before you couldn't. Because remember, as slaves, our ancestors were forbidden to read. So they wanted to make sure that we never woke up. Even though there's similarities, right? Which is why they had the slave Bible, and you couldn't understand anything because they didn't took out things like the Exodus. They left enough of information in there to control you. Now, we look at today and we got what they call 66 books, right? They call that canon. But yet they left out 20 something other books that we see in the Ethiopian canon. And once again, they control the message, right? They control who the people are. They reframed and whitened out who the Messiah was and is. Same thing with his people. And I look at our history in this country. And you know how the Bible says that, we will go into captivity again to the four corners. We will go to this place called Babylon, which is also synonymous with Egypt, which is also synonymous with, depending upon your understanding of the text, Jerusalem as well. Now, why am I covering this? Because there's nothing new under the sun. Like, for instance, give me a one if you heard about alligator bait. I'm just going somewhere with this. Give me one if you heard of alligator bait, two if you haven't, because I'm not going to assume you have. I would assume everybody who follows this channel has, but, hey. So that looks like almost everyone. Now, we know that they fed our children to alligators, right? Did you? I know I didn't. Maybe you have, but did you look at the comparison or the symmetry to when they threw every male child into the Nile? Now, you do know that the Nile has crocodiles. You do know that, right? What was is what will be. There's nothing new under the sun. So they threw our ancestors, the little bambinos, the little babies, the little Israelite babies, males, into the Nile River. They don't tell you that there were crocodiles in those rivers. We come to America and they do what? Throw our babies as alligator bait. What was is what shall be. There's nothing new under the sun. They take advantage of the Israelites' lack of knowledge, lack of biblical understanding, and they also infiltrate through agents, right? So they keep you off balance with your own people who betray you, who lie, who tell you half truths, but that's just the way it is. That's human nature for the most part, which once again foster what? A lack of trust. So we end up forming factions and we join this group, that camp, this group, that camp. You know what I'm saying? Once again, division. And we say, I'm no cotton picking African, right? That's what we say. But, your claim to be in Israel is tied to Africa, but I'm no cotton picking African, once again, to cause division. As I mentioned in my previous show the other day, the Mandela effect, we see that the whole world is under this psychological operation and this fracturing of your psyche. Right? They're fracturing your reality. While we're in the midst of the book of Revelation, everybody's saying all things remain the same. Nothing has changed since the fathers fell asleep. You hear that from your own people. I say this because I want to show you something that, at least in my opinion, foretells, or maybe not foretell, but is a sign that we could be packing our bags soon. And now I'm gonna show you why I think this, and let's revisit a scripture right quick before we get into it. All right, so we have here Revelation 12. How many times we've been here? We've covered Revelation 12 many, many times. So we're going to look at it just a little differently with the modern view of current happenings, right? And some of the more recent historical events. So a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. Okay, we know this woman is Israel, 12 tribes, 12 stars, right? She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth, right? Then another sign appeared in heaven. What sign is that? An enormous red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on his head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth so that it might devour her child the moment it was born. Now, we know here is talking about Messiah, but I've showed you in other teachings where it also represents the nation of Israel being born as well, and a dragon waiting to devour us as well. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was snatched up to Yahuwah and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by Yahuwah, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. So it is my opinion, just mine, eat the meat, spit out the bones, that this particular wilderness experience is at the door. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But we got to understand that there are certain signs that are happening, and most people are totally unaware of the biblical ramifications. Verse 7, then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angel fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back, but he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth and his angels with him. So we see here that the devil, Satan, who's the dragon, was cast down where? To the earth. So the dragon is not just the personification of evil. The dragon is connected to what? Empires, right? Heads, horns, crowns pointing to government, kingdom power, rulership, and dominion. Why? Because this is the beast system we're talking about. The devil gave them their power. Now, pay attention to this, because we know that the dragon was at war in heaven and he lost. He got kicked down. He got cast down to the earth. And his angels with him. All of this stuff is very interesting. We don't know how it's going to fully play out, but we'll see that there seems to be some similarities to the biblical prophecies and what's happening today. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven say, now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our Elohim and authority of his Messiah, for the accuser of our brothers and sisters who accuses them before Yahuwah day and night has been hurled down. Now we know this is the Israelites who are being accused. Why? Because they are the ones who held captive in Babylon, who needs to be delivered, right? In the land of their captivity, they shall remember themselves. Yahuwah is going to take us from the places we were held captive. That's scripture. Verse 11, they triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives so much as to shrink from death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you. He is filled with fury because he knows that he has a short time. Now, what do we know about this? We know that the devil was fighting in heaven. He lost. He came down as a spoiled child because he lost. And now he's what? Making war against the woman. When the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he pursued who? The woman. We know that to be the Israelites, the Negroes, the descendants of slaves, who had given birth to the male child. The woman was given the 2 wings of a great eagle so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness, where she will be taken care of for a time, time and half a time, out of the serpent's reach. Now pay close attention to this. Then from his mouth, the serpent spewed water like a river. Now, what do we know here? The dragon spewed what? Something out of his mouth. What did he spew out of his mouth? Water like a river. Now, it's interesting, if you stick with the biblical symbology, that water, according to Revelation, is people, multitudes, nations, and tongues, right? Now, a mouth is something that speaks. So the dragon, his mouth spewed something about the woman. Why? Because he is at war with the woman. He's trying to stop the woman from fleeing. So the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away with the flood. So the flood comes from the serpent's mouth. That points to what? Speech. It points to what? Decrees, narratives, accusations, propaganda, legal claims, orders, public messaging, and policy language. So this is where we can come to our modern happenings. Now, many of you all should know, at the very least, that at a time, over the last year, Trump had renamed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Now, my question to you is, who is he fighting? Now, y'all see this, that there's this release of UFO files at the U.S. Department of War. The question is, who is he at war with? Well, it seems to me that his current policies and programs will tell you who he's at war with. And before I get into that, let's look at something, because all of this stuff comes, in my opinion, full circle, right? Because they released these UFO files, and this is not the main point that I'm going to be talking about, but why now, right? Give me one if you ask yourself the question, why now? Why release the UFO files on the U.S. Department of War website? I told you that we're dealing with a warfare unlike anything else. And there is a fracturing of your psyche and your reality that is occurring. And this is all part of it. And I'm going to show you a continuation. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but I'm going to show you a continuation of this so-called disclosure event. Now, mind you, this isn't really what I'm talking about, other than the fact that there is a warfare going on. But before I go there, let me finish the scripture. Then the dragon was enraged with the woman and went off to wage war against the rest. Well, I'm sorry, I skipped it. Then from his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with the torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Now, notice the attack, something from the mouth. Notice also the defense, something from the mouth. As I stated, the mouth is associated with speech. It is associated with language. It's associated with accusations. So we got one mouth that is spewing policies, accusations. What kind of accusation, Jacob? Well, the same mouth spews what? DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is discrimination. The same mouth says workforce cuts or efficiency. The same mouth says citizenship must be protected by narrowing recognition. The same mouth says black district destruction is partisan and not racial. The language is carrying away political power. But the earth helps the woman. That manifests through what? Or could manifest through international recognition of our plight, right? Because what? One spews water out of his mouth, attacking. One opens his mouth, the earth, and absorbs what? The words and the policies. So we have resistance from the words and the accusations and the policies of the dragon. We have lawsuits and local resistance and whistleblowers against the attack of the dragon. We have a lot of things happening today. We're going to talk about this and how this targeting of the seed, the woman, is occurring now when most people don't recognize it for what it is. These policies of the dragon is affecting everyone, but the target is one specific group, and we're gonna talk about this. But all of this is part of what we talked about the other day about the Mandela effect and its psychological operation and manipulation of not only humanity but specifically the chosen. And I'm gonna show you this. My opinion: eat the meat, spit out the bone.
Describe it.
That's not how I would describe it in the same way. I'll be honest. I think it's just a popular catchphrase that a lot of people are borrowing into. Now, I come from a family that they believe they are descendants of the old gods. That's the best way to say it. That they believe that they are carriers of a seed line that gives them the divine right to rule. And that is what gives them justification spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, scientifically to dominate the lesser species known as humans. Humans literally means a lesser species of man, and they do not believe they are a human in the same way. They believe they are something other than, and that's descendants of this hierarchical ruling species that is from the celestial realm that descended in the days of Jared and came down and procreated with the daughters of men, and that they still trace their seed line back to Gilgamesh, till Nimrod. And so this is what the dynastic families believe they have, is a superiority in their genetics on one side and the ability to commune with the divine. And so their children are progenitors of these, some might call them abreactions, mutations, these skills, psychic abilities, that kind of stuff, all variants of it. And so they raise up their children in this path with which involves a tremendous amount of shattering of the soul and the identity so that there's compartmentalization within, and it allows them the ability to train their child up in a way that makes them conducive towards the family. I call them the family. That's what I called them. You know, it's a better word for mafia than anything else. But no, we didn't call ourselves, like my family wouldn't ever call themselves Illuminists. Yeah. Right? They're Luciferian. That's for certain. They worship Hallel and Shahar, as he's really known, but different reasons than what people are ascribed to, you know.
Interesting. All right. So
I wonder who was saying that everyone is not human. Now, this particular guy, eat the meat, spit out the bones, is saying that they're half-breeds. They are the seed of the serpent. Now, is that not what the scripture says? Yes or no, family? That the seed of the woman is going to fight against the seed of the dragon. The dragon, his seed, is going to wound his heel, which is not only the Messiah, but the people of Israel. And Yeshua and the nation of Israel is going to crush their heads. Why? Because the Bible says we are his battle axe and weapons of war. Yahushua is going to use us to fight back. Now, what we see here is a person who claims to be part of this Illuminati, secret society, devil worshippers. And I'm just saying, if it's a bloodline, they light bright, and I'm just saying, I ain't trying to throw no aspersions on everyone. I'm just saying there's an enemy, there's a serpent seed out there. Now, if we know, let's say there is a serpent seed out there, we also know that there are Yahudim who claim to be Yahudim but do lie. And what? They are what? Of the what? Synagogue of Satan. So that's why you have a bunch of people who say, oh, praise God. They be saying glory, honor to God. Well, we be like, okay, well, what God are you praying to? Which God are you worshiping? Half of y'all are alphabets. Half of you are thieves and liars. Half of you are backstabbers and betrayers. What God are you worshiping? See, you can't trust everyone who say they follow Yahuwah or God, because you don't know what God they worship. So we have this group of people, and it's a lot of them, and there are those who work with them. You know, it's sort of the whole thing, like in the Blade vampire series, right? You got the higher level bloodline descendants of the serpent seed, right? The vampires. And then you have the little lower level folks who want to become a vampire, who serve the vampires. You have those as well. So he would, by analogy, be the part of the vampire family. Which is why you can say, you know, it's no surprise that they sacrifice, you know, little bambinos, that they, you know, drink a little, you know, red stuff, you know what I'm saying? And they PDFs, right? Because this is who they are. And if you listen to the rest of that video, you will find out that, you know, this particular guy, you know, he was part of that, and they, you know, conditioned him to be wicked, right, from his birth. And, you know, he was saying how, you know, he ended up realizing that he could still be saved because he thought he was, you know, damned by default. And so he said, you know, he left. Now, my question would be this. I'm just saying, because I don't believe him, right? I'm not saying just because of what he's saying. I don't believe him because they lie all the time. And they're always producing psychological manipulations. Because if he left an organization like that, which is powerful, if you listen to the interview, it's a powerful organization and they can do whatever they want. All they got to do is pick up a phone. If they're that powerful, how come he's still around? Right? Yes or no? Why is he, if he betrayed them and they all that evil, why is he still breathing? I'm just saying. I mean, I ain't wishing no evil on nobody. I'm just asking a question. Now, this will bring us back to what I was saying about there's nothing new under the sun, because, you know, our people, you know, we've been persecuted for the most of our existence. We've been enslaved most of our existence. But our deliverance is near. Now, if we go back to history and we look at history and we go back and look at the Inquisition, what happened during the Inquisition? You know, a lot of people will, you know, let me say it this way, have done themselves a disservice, but not looking at the Inquisition. And I'm going to explain this. I'm going to show this little clip, and I'm going to show you how what was is what shall be and what's happening now. Similar but different, right? Similar but different. And why I see things that, you know, seems, at least to me, that you need to have your bags packed. I'm just saying. So let's look at this, and, you know, I'll explain what's going on, or maybe the video will do a better job of explaining that.
Y'all look at them. They're trying to get in this lady house, y'all. This is what they do. Y'all gotta watch them. Look, see? Look. Listen. That's right, I'm recording it. Y'all see this? Y'all see this? Y'all see them, right? Y'all see them? Make sure y'all get their faces. Look at them. You see them? I'm recording, honey. I'm going live. I ain't letting them slide away with this. I go live, honey. Look, you see them, y'all? You see how they come at the people, right? Yup. That's right. I sure am. Going live, honey. They gang up on us. They just getting bold, just going trying to take people's house. See the license plate? See? See that? You see that license plate? See that? They try to come at people. Get that license number 2. Look at.
So let me explain to you all what's happening here. So there's been effort in New York to steal black folks' homes and land. These Rev 2939s are stealing our people's land. Now, if we look at prophecy, you would expect something like this. Why? Because it's something that's happened before. And it's not just an American thing. It is a global thing. Now, don't think that this is just going to be New York. It's not going to just be New York. It's going to start in New York, and it's going to spread in the U.S., and it's going to spread around the world. And we're going to see these type of things increase. Now, when I was talking about the Inquisition, in the Inquisition, they had these property seizure laws, right? So the 1492 Alhambra decree, which was in Spain, built an enforcement mechanism for them to confiscate Israelite land. So in 1478, authorization of the Spanish Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition began under Ferdinand and Isabella after Pope Sixtus IV issued a bull in 1478, allowing the monarchs to appoint inquisitors in their kingdoms. Now, this mattered because Spain's Inquisition was not just a church court. It operated under royal authority, which made confiscation of property part of the state's machinery. Now, Britannica dates the formal start as November 1st, 1478, and describes the institution as targeting conversos, meaning Israelites who had converted under pressure or for survival. So the point being that Spain had a royal inquisition, accusations of heresy, and a legal path to confiscate money, land, and everything, right? Now, the Torquemadas in 1484 Inquisition instructions issued a code of Inquisition procedure. Britannica describes this as 28 articles that set out the crimes inquisitors could investigate and the methods used for interrogation and punishment. Now, the Alhambra decree called for expulsion of the Jews. Now, understand we're dealing with something similar, which is them trying to eradicate the 14th Amendment. Why? So that they could get rid of the Negroes, the true Israelites. So on March 31st, 1492, Ferdinand and Isabella issued the Alhambra decree ordering all unconverted Israelites to leave Castile, Aragon, and their territories by the deadline. The decree applied to Yahudim, right, of whatever age, meaning men, women, and children, rich, poor, old, and young. The English translation, hosted by Florida Atlantic University, gives the command to depart and never return. Now, the Bible tells us, and a lot of Israelites want to push back on this because they don't understand the Torah. But the Bible tells us we're going to have to flee. And I told you before that we will be pushed out, and it's happening. And those who don't see it is either part of the agency of the government or they just dumb. They don't know the Torah. So it ordered the permanent expulsion of the Israelite communities in Spain. The decree said those who remained after the deadline could face death and confiscation of property. That means the law itself turned Israelite homes and estates into assets the crown could seize. So now we see these Rev 2939s, they're seizing property. The decree allowed people to take some belongings, but it barred them from carrying out gold or silver or minted money or other things prohibited by the laws of our kingdoms. That restriction forced families to sell property under panic conditions while blocking them from leaving with full value. Now, think of this for a second, all right? So look at what's happening in the Middle East. Look at what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz. Look at what's happening with the economy. And look at what's happening in terms of jobs. Black folks are being relegated to the total bottom once again. Our property going to be confiscated under the rule of law because you're not going to be paying your bills. And you're not going to be paying your taxes. And these Rev 29s are going to scoop up your land, your property, your home that's been in your families forever. This is what's happening. The expulsion decree also punished Christians who hid, sheltered, or assisted Israelites after the deadline. The penalties included loss of possessions and titles. You can see these things maturing, right? This is what's happening. And it's not just happening here, it's happening everywhere that not only where the Rev 29s are, but also where the Israelites are, right? The true Israelites, right? So those who are true bloodline descendants of Israel, the descendants of slaves, are going to have their property seized. I know you're not going to believe me. Some of y'all waiting to be gathered. You're waiting to be gathered because that's your understanding and misapplying of scripture because, you take some things out of context and ignore other scriptures. But it's happening in the UK as well. But it's happening to everybody. But here's the thing. They couldn't get to us unless they got to everyone. And the elite is looking to make everyone slaves, not just the Israeli.
Survival choice. Eat to live or pay rent to have a place to sleep. In that predicament, the car suddenly transformed. From a means of transportation, it became a mobile fortress. They choose to live in their cars because it offers privacy that chaotic, temporary accommodations fraught with risks cannot provide. More importantly, the car allows them to park close to their workplace, minimizing commuting costs, an expense that is already being eroded by inflation. It's ridiculous that someone still tirelessly works 55 hours a week just to maintain the right to sleep in the driver's seat. The dream of home ownership has been replaced by a nightmare called parking lots. We are witnessing a system where effort is no longer rewarded with stability. A society where employment is no longer a pathway out of poverty. Does that society still have the motivation to develop? Or is it merely functioning out of despair? Isn't it ironic that the car, once a symbol of freedom in the 20th century, has become a steel cage that constrains people in the 21st century? There is a joke that goes, in England right now you need a 6-figure salary to live like a normal person from the 90s. But the truth is, even if you have enough money in your pocket, other invisible barriers are still waiting to push you out the door of every home. Because in this era, having money sometimes is still not enough to be considered a person. We will talk about the harsh gatekeepers of the housing market in the next section.
So this is the UK having similar issues. Now, once again, it is the corporate sector that is doing these things. Now, the question is this: who owns the corporate sector? Who's buying up the homes? Who's passing the laws? Who's, discriminating? Rev 2939s. And we saw in the video of the guy who said that he belonged to a family who worships Satan. And they're very powerful. And so we have a time that we're in where Israelites are going to be forced to flee. I know you don't believe me. You don't have to. Where are we going to go, Yacoba? Go watch my videos. Turn the radio. 8 weeks to empty shelves, 60 days to famine, what caused it, and what you need to do immediately. So according to this guy, you can eat the meat, spit out the bones. We're going to have empty shelves in 6 weeks. I agree. 60 days to famine. Is that not what we see in Jeremiah 50 and 51? But at the same time, you got to understand that all of this is by design. They're planning to take your land and property. What did they say? What did the WEF Klaus Schwab say? You will own nothing and be happy. The sad thing is that our people, the Israelites, who are awakened or not awakened, they don't get it. They will never get it. They will never understand why the pillars that uphold their lifestyles and their current life and their high degree salaries and everything is being removed. You might be a multi-millionaire, but that's going to be gone. You might own a mansion, but you're going to lose it. You might be an entertainer who's very famous and wealthy. Unless you get the heck out of Dodge, which I'm saying America, and put your money in some other countries and other resources, you're done too. Because see, what you don't understand is that they're after us, and don't let anybody fool you that they're not. My question to you is, for you all who think we're not going to flee, explain to me how you survive. Explain it to me. I don't see it. Well, Jacoby, you got to have faith. No, that's not what I'm talking about, faith. I'm talking about the practical reality of you making money, paying your taxes, keeping your house, and avoiding the laws that's going to put you back in the Jim Crow status. Oh, you don't believe me, huh? I'm blowing up this whole thing. Well, let's look at what's happening in the current news.
To the Supreme Court decision to weaken the Civil Rights Law, the Voting Rights Act, which was put in place to protect African Americans' right to have representation. And right now, this is so awful what's happening in our country with all this gerrymandering on both sides. It's awful. It's terrible for our country because you create these safe Republican seats, these safe Democratic seats, and the general election doesn't matter because you're going to win anyway. And you don't have to worry about the primary, and everybody just panders to their base to win the primary, and that's dividing our country further. And so it's very much race involved. I can't stand the fact that you're splitting up Memphis into 3 different congressional districts. That's awful that you're cutting up communities like that. And that's happening in places throughout our country right now, and it's bad for America.
Are you opposed to the gerrymandering efforts in New York as
I'm
well?
Opposed
that got rid of
I'm opposed to all gerrymandering.
States?
I've always been opposed to gerrymandering. It's bad for the country to set up these seats like this. We should have independent redistricting. We should allow independents to vote. We should have open primaries. But this is being done in response to what took place in Texas. And there's going to continue to be this tit for tat. They'll do this, then we'll do that, then they'll do this, then we'll do that. And it's bad for America. And this is making it worse.
I think we also have to understand that Black Americans have faced barricade after barricade after barricade in front of them forever for voting. So to take a majority Black district like Memphis and split it up, pull it into 3 separate sections so it goes into rural Tennessee, if you aren't familiar with the state, they're taking a Black district and stretching it out so that the white voters overtake the Black voters in those 3 districts. That's deliberately trying to make one party have no representation. It is an abuse of power.
So they're splitting the district so that you won't be able to elect congressmen and congresswomen who represent you, right? You can't elect a Black representative. Now, personally, I don't think it affects us too much other than the fact that, Black folks won't be able to get any kind of political position and money and influence. But, our Black representatives never represented us anyway, right? So on that level, it's not a big deal. They never represented our interests, right? They just took payouts, right? And they became rich and successful by selling out their people. But what's going to happen is that they're going to lose the wealth that they have as well. There will be no controls and no systems in place to stop them from discriminating once again. Back to Jim Crow. Look, y'all don't think, some of y'all don't think that there's a conspiracy to put you back into captivity. It's not going to work. It's going to happen to them, but it's not going to happen to us. But we're going to feel the pain while the dragon spews out his mouth, while the dragon spews out his policies, his executive orders, his rules, his laws. What? Why? Because he's making war against the woman. When he created the U.S. Department of War, he was letting you know he's in a war nature or status or attitude pursuing the woman.
About how they managed to carve up the black voters in the state in the way that they did.
So is that correct that the census data was the sole basis for drawing these lines from 2020?
Speaker Zachary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, it's my understanding the census was used to draft the map you have in front of you.
Chairman Clement.
Based on the population.
Okay, well, that's pretty interesting because census data doesn't include any partisan scores or partisan data. And your whole entire argument this entire week has been that this is about politics and partisanship. So if you solely relied on census data, I'm confused about how you knew partisan scores when drawing this map, if that wasn't even considered.
Speaker Zachary.
Thank you. Did you have a question?
He doesn't answer the question because it is a good question.
So remember, this whole particular thing started with Louisiana and a lawsuit brought in Louisiana and the Supreme Court going along with the foolishness. If you can't see, all of this is designed to weaken the influence of the black race, the Israelites, the Negroes, then I feel sorry for you. If you can't see that we are the targets, I told you that we are the targets. The dragon is making war against the woman. Understand that Trump's Department of War declaration is not important merely because of the name. The name matters because it reveals intent. The administration chose a language of war and explained that choice as a willingness to wage war. At the same time, the same system is applying indirect pressure against black communities through courts, maps, jobs, benefits, citizenship, policy, and civil rights roadblock. If that's not the dragon making war against the woman, I don't know what is. The woman is Israel. The dragon hates the woman, which is the system, the governmental system, this Babylonian system, which supplies the machinery, while the remnant is the target. I told y'all long ago that we are the targets. I told you that.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but what we saw in Tennessee yesterday and what we are seeing with other red states across the South is just the beginning. We are watching them redraw their entire congressional maps in line with this new SCOTUS ruling. But this, what they are doing, is just softening the battlefield for their ultimate end game. And their end game is the Civil Rights Act, specifically around something called the Disparate Impact Standard. Now, go Google what that is, and I want you to go pull up Project 2025, Control F, and type in Civil Rights Act, because it's in there. All of this, as bad as it is watching the Voting Rights Act get hollowed out by 6 Supreme Court justices, and all of that sacrifice and effort just be signed away, this is just the next step to get them to their end goal, which is the Civil Rights Act.
So, as I've been telling y'all for years, we're the targets. Now, the disparate impact standard is a legal doctrine holding that facially neutral policies which apply to everyone equally are unlawful if they disproportionately exclude protected groups, example, race, gender, and lack business justification. It focuses on discriminatory outcomes rather than intent, often evaluated using the 4/5 rule. In other words, they can discriminate against you and not get in trouble. But y'all don't think you're going to flee, right? There's going to be help, right? Because the earth opens up her mouth and absorbs everything that's coming out of the dragon's mouth. There's going to be help, and I'm thinking maybe it might be international condemnation of the U.S. and them trying to put us back into slavery and Jim Crow status. There's going to be opposition. So they're creating policies and laws and words out of the dragon mouths to what? Attack the woman. But the earth, which in my opinion probably means, I don't know for sure, is going to open its mouth in condemnation of what's coming out of the dragon's mouth.
Now, about 16 months into what has been from day one a concerted and intense targeting of Black Americans, specifically by this president and by this administration. On his first full day in office, he proclaims war on diversity efforts, not only in government, but in any institution in the country.
The dragon made war with the woman, spewed something out of its mouth that attacks the woman. You speak with the mouth. You give commands with the mouth. You enact policies with the mouth. Is this dude the Antichrist? I don't know. He could be. I don't know. We're going to find out. He's top of the list right now with me. But who knows?
Over which he can exert leverage, everything from schools and universities to law firms to private businesses of every stripe. He then immediately started firing some of the highest profile Black public officials in the whole U.S. government, seemingly regardless of any other thing about them. I mean, right away, we get the firing of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Charles C.Q. Brown. We get the firing of the Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden. And then it's Gwynne Wilcox from the National Labor Relations Board. And then it's Robert Primus, the chair of the Surface Transportation Board. And then it's Alvin Brown from the NTSB. And then it's Peggy Carr, the head of the National Center for Education Statistics. And then it's Willie Phillips from FERC, from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And then it's Lisa Cook from the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, and on and on and on. When Trump and his top political donor, Elon Musk, then started just lopping off huge swaths of the federal government to disastrous practical effect, the largest and most egregious cuts targeted federal agencies that employed a disproportionate number of Black employees. Reporter Erica Green wrote about this a few months ago for The Times, noting that nothing had moved backwards in the federal government for Black Americans this quickly or this far in over 100 years. Since Woodrow Wilson came in 1912 and resegregated the federal workforce. Quote, Black employees were fired or demoted to lower level jobs, relegated to separate and inferior lunchrooms and other facilities, and accused of making white women feel unsafe. Those who remained were humiliated. A Black worker in the Postal Service was surrounded by screens so white workers would not have to look at him. Another employee had a cage built around him to separate him from his white counterparts. A clerk in the Treasury Secretary's office was assigned to rewrite all correspondence to address Black employees by their first names, the way Trump addressed the Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden, by her first name when he crowed publicly about firing her for no reason. In the year of our Lord, 2025, and now 2026, this president and this administration is not just inheriting that history from the Wilson administration, it's furthering it in its own ways. We are now about...
So yes, there are many antichrists, but at the same time, there is the man of sin, the son of perdition. I don't know if he is or not. we got to understand that there's a lot of things that's happening, and it just seems like it's just too well oiled and manufactured for me to hold that position completely. But at the same time, if you look at the comparisons to Rome and Caesar, Caesar was Rome and Rome was Caesar. The Antichrist is the beast and the beast is the Antichrist. So he could be. I don't know.
Opportunity to look at those congressional districts again gives us a chance at all of them if we get some reprieve from courts, and so we'll see how that goes, and certainly hope that the Supreme Court will overturn Amendment 14. Gives us a shot to revisit those.
What would you say from your perspective? I mean, other than Mr. Pro Tem, everyone was relatively silent on the goings-ons. What would you say from your perspective is the biggest misconception about what the bills do, and a message that you'd like to see out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that the biggest misconception is, the thing about it is, people tend to forget what happened when this thing went to court before. We actually, the Republican Party had that seat in, I guess, in Mobile. It's number 2 seat, that's congressional seat 2, so the district 2, and so that was one of the things. There's been a push through the courts to try to overtake some of these red state seats, and that's certainly what happened in that one. And with the ruling that happened in Louisiana, we felt like it gave us a chance to maybe regain that seat, but also opened up District 7. So I think that's happened. All we need now is the courts to overturn 14, and we can look at a new election.
You go on the internet.
So y'all heard it, right? From his mouth. Overturn the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868 during the Reconstruction era to grant citizenship and legal protection to formerly enslaved people. It expanded the power of the federal government to protect individuals from discriminatory state laws. Now, y'all did hear him say to overturn the 14th Amendment, right? Not to remove sections that apply to immigrants. He said overturn the 14th Amendment. Now, once again, who do you think they're after? Who are they after? I'm just asking. Who do you think the targets are? DEI policies, woke policies, everything black. People black in the federal government being dismissed. Policies against SNAP benefits and health care that affects the most disadvantage of us all, which is black folks. Now, every black person is not going to be affected equally. Some of y'all got money. Some of y'all can weather the storm. But as they continue to chop the pillars that hold up this system, it's going to move up the ladder, and there will no longer be a upper class of black folks. There will be no elite class of black folks. There will be no more boule who sells out their people. It's just a matter of time. Each pillar is being removed from underneath the building. And everybody who's Ezra Alawi, whether they're woke or not, is going to be affected. How many times they got to tell you what they're doing and going to do, and they do it, and y'all be like, ain't gonna bother me. I'm an American. Some of y'all even be singing the Pledge of Allegiance. I think most people are not ready for what's happening. And I think they really don't imagine how little time is left. I know y'all Yacoba always saying the sky is falling, the sky is falling. I'm just saying, I just watch the news. I read the scriptures. It makes sense. One thing I've learned to do is listen to what I call that spiritual discernment, that being me, because I've been right. I'm sorry. I mean, when I feel that, I'll be like, something wrong. Just like with recent stuff that's happened. The Most High let me know, hey, something's wrong. My brother will tell you, something's wrong. You could call it what you want.
Going to come and become a citizen in this country, but you're going to do it by fraud. You're going to do it in a way that's illegal. You should be worried. And so who our targets are, we are not limiting ourselves to anybody in particular, except to say that unfortunately, and I think you're going to hear more about this in the coming days and weeks, there are a lot of individuals who are citizens who shouldn't be. And just like we have an absolute duty to the citizens of this country to get illegal aliens out because they have no right to be here, we have the same obligations to enforce the laws when it comes to naturalize citizens who committed a fraud or did something improper in getting that citizenship.
But are we talking, sir, about egregious offenders or anyone who is found to have engaged in fraud and who happens to be a naturalized citizen? And I ask you that because there's a lot of concern among naturalized citizens, and I think there's about 24 million citizens who are naturalized.
I'm going to pause it right here. Man of sin is Barack Obama. He loves a man. He legalized gay marriage because he's upside down. That's white supremacist ideology. Look, I'm not an Obama fan. And I agree with you on the fuddy-duddy part. But at the same time, to make a black man the Antichrist, which nobody likes, who has no power, who they say his wife, is a man, y'all be tripping. No proof, accusations. We don't deal with accusations over here. I'm sorry. I'm not an Obama fan, but that's lunacy, right? That's just lunacy.
Here in the U.S.
Well, I don't know why they would be concerned. So, for example, it's like saying, are you going to arrest just people who rob a convenience store? Because there's a lot of people who go to convenience stores who are worried. They shouldn't be. If you didn't commit a crime in the way you became a citizen, I don't think you have anything to worry about. So I don't think it's true that those 24 million citizens are worried. I think there's a very small percentage of them who are worried. And yes, they should be. So yes, of course, egregious lies or fraud is something that we would prioritize. And I'm not sure why this is even controversial. We shouldn't tolerate fraud. We shouldn't tolerate lies.
Well, it's a very drastic penalty, right? Being denaturalized.
It's a very drastic reward being naturalized, committing fraud. So yes, yeah, sure. I mean, but what's the alternative? You got us. Your fraud wasn't that bad, so you can stay here. I mean, I'm not sure that's what the law says.
All right, so they want to get rid of citizenship, right? They first is the illegal immigrants, denaturalization, right? That's what they say. Now, I have a question for the family. Give me a 1 if you think black folks in America will be affected by any change to the Civil Rights Act as well as the citizenship. Give me a 2 if you don't think blacks will be affected by this whole 14th Amendment citizenship deal. I'm curious. Because let me tell you how I think things will probably play out. They'll get what they want in terms of denaturalizing the naturalized citizens, right? Therefore, the Mexicans, the Haitians, anybody from another country who was naturalized will get sent back to where they come from. And black folks gonna sit there and say, they can't touch me because I'm a citizen. Well, think about it. They don't really have to get the entire 14th Amendment overturned. What happens is once you denaturalize and you determine that, hey, some of these people are not citizens legally according to law, because the law was for descendants of slaves, that's just the foot in the door. Because what's going to happen is the policies is what's going to change. Black folks going to be driving down the street and get pulled over. Whoop, whoop. Cops pull you over. Can I see your license and registration, please? Okay. Can I see your proof of citizenship? Like what? Your passport or your birth certificate. As most black folks don't, I don't have that. Well, until you can prove that you are a citizen of the United States, we're going to put you in detention. Do you know how many citizens were put in detention in 2026? Over 60,000. You know how long some of them stayed in detention to prove that they are citizens? Months. They don't have to prove you're not a citizen. You have to prove that you are. It's very shrewd. I'm going to tell you, it's evil genius. I always say that. It's evil genius. Now, personally, I think AI been around a while because it is very, very slick. The policies, the programs, the way they are dismantling any protection that the Negroes had. But, you know, some of y'all say we're not going to flee. Well, you go, but where we going to flee to? I already told you where the Bible say we're going to flee. But if you don't believe that, then guess what? You're still going to have to flee. I mean, you could stay here and suffer. You're not going to have a house. You're not going to have a job. You're not going to have money because guess what? They're going to crash the economy. They're going into a digital system and they can control what you buy, where you go. You might be rich now, but tomorrow you're going to be broke, busted, and disgusted. I hate to be the one to tell you. As I've said before, I don't like bringing these types of messages, but I got to tell you what I see.
65, a dead letter. And Black, Latino, and other minority communities now face serious, if not impossible, legal barriers to elect candidates of their choice at all levels of government. And ground zero for this brave new world, Louisiana, a state where 1/3 of the population is Black, yet 5 of the state's 6 congressional districts were once majority white. That was until years of hard-fought litigation gave the state, for the first time in its history, its second Black majority congressional district. So if you're following the math, that gives 1/3 of the population 1/3 of its political power. Seems pretty democratic, right? But the Supreme Court struck down this new congressional district as an unconstitutional racial gerrymander, restoring the 5-6 distribution of majority white districts. And now, Republican-led states are scrambling to redraw all of their maps before the midterm elections this fall. Mere hours after the ruling came down, Florida had a new Republican-friendly map ready to go. Louisiana straight up canceled its congressional primaries. Alabama is fighting to free itself from a Supreme Court ruling from 2023, that's just a few years ago, that required 2 of its 7 congressional districts to be Black majority. And Tennessee also announced an emergency session to draw new maps. In other words, if the race to the bottom in redistricting was bad before, now the bottom has completely fallen out. With this single case, Louisiana v. Calais, the court repeated an unmistakable and familiar message. White majority rule always rules, not just for congressional elections, but for scores of seats at the state, county, and local level. These are places where the Voting Rights Act has made it possible for people long marginalized from political power to have a seat at the table. But with the key provisions of the Voting Rights Act no longer in play, Calais all but ensures a slow but steady death spiral for Black, Latino, and other minority representation. This will likely go down in history as the Dred Scott decision of our generation. The reason I consider Louisiana v. Calais almost on par with Dred Scott, because that was the ruling that set the stage for Congress to respond forcefully with the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendments, as well as other legislation aimed at humbling the Supreme Court into submission. Indeed, as Harvard law professors Nico Bowie and Daphne Rennan remind us in their reaction to Calais, when the post-war court appeared likely to challenge legislation Congress considered appropriate to enforce these amendments, Congress changed the size of the court. The House of Representatives then passed a bill that prohibited the court from invalidating any federal law without the concurrence of 2/3 of the justices. Representative John Bingham of Ohio, the primary author of the 14th Amendment, insisted that such a requirement was necessary to prevent a second Dred Scott decision. In the Senate, the author of the 13th Amendment, Lyman Trumbull of Illinois, proposed that Congress declare its Reconstruction Acts political in their character, the propriety or validity of which no judicial tribunal is competent to question. That's jurisdiction stripping, guys. As the threat from one pending Supreme Court case became urgent, Congress enacted a narrower but decisive measure stripping the court of appellate jurisdiction over a particular challenge before it. As they write, that strategy worked. Disciplined by Congress, the court declined to interfere with its abolition or Reconstruction Acts. As federal prosecutors and lower courts enforced these statutes, over 750,000 Black Americans voted for the first time. Black men even took seats in Congress, where they helped draft and pass the nation's first national voting rights laws. All of that happened during Reconstruction. And it didn't just happen in a vacuum. Calais is part of a trilogy of cases that began back in 2013 with the infamous decision in Shelby County versus Holder. Perhaps John Roberts' darkest hour as Chief Justice, and one that to this day remains a blemish on the court's reputation. In that case, a 5-4 majority led by Roberts eviscerated a pillar of the Voting Rights Act that required states with a history of voting discrimination to get pre-clearance from the federal government before implementing new voting rules. Now, this pre-clearance formula found in Section 5 of the Act had real teeth. So, no surprises here. When the court did a root canal on the Voting Rights Act, Texas announced that same day that it would immediately start enforcing a voter ID requirement. And then across the country, a flood of other voter suppression measures and discriminatory maps followed. Perhaps one of the most ridiculed lines in Shelby County, which Justice Samuel Alito parrots in this Calais ruling, is that, quote, things have changed dramatically in the South since the passage of the original Voting Rights Act. So the court is reasoning basically that because the law successfully prevented states from enacting egregious acts of voter suppression like literacy tests, and those don't exist anymore, then we don't need a law to prevent states from enacting other egregious acts of voter suppression. Like Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg said in dissent, you don't just throw away an umbrella just because you're not getting wet. Like, who does that? By letting states run wild and free on voting restrictions, John Roberts declared that all states have this inherent equal sovereignty and that it's unconstitutional to require some of them to federal government oversight, but not others, as if treating states in the former Confederacy differently on account of their horrific history of discrimination against Black and brown people is somehow worse than the discrimination itself. He seems to have offloaded the Supreme Court's voting rights decisions on Justice Samuel Alito. Alito took the lead in the second case in this trilogy against the Voting Rights Act. In 2021, in a case called Brnovich v. Democratic National Committee, the Supreme Court put what remained of Section 2, the part of the Voting Rights Act that Shelby County didn't touch, on life support by erecting a complicated test for anyone wishing to challenge laws that burden the right to vote. This included.
So we can see here, once again, policy, procedures, laws that goes against the Ezra Alawi, and it's by design. It amazes me there are Black Christians who support MAGA, who support CK, who support DT or Mr. Orange Man. It amazes me as they strip away your rights and the rights of your people and discriminate against you and removing your ability to, have support if you're poor, healthcare and all these things. It amazes me that some of our people are MAGAites. It just don't make sense to me. It's insanity. But once again, I get it because, as I said in the Mandela effect, we've been fractured, right? And so now we got this guy who looks like the Antichrist, and maybe he is, maybe he isn't, maybe he's just a Caesar, who knows? But 15 foot of gold, Trump gold statue sparks cult of personality, right? A massive gold statue depicting U.S. President Donald Trump was dedicated Friday at his Miami golf course. The 15-foot bronze monument, financed by cryptocurrency entrepreneurs and a group of over 6,000 supporters, portrays the 79-year-old president with a raised fist, a reference to his survival of a 2024 assassination attempt. All right, so we got the feeling of, Nazi Germany, North Korea, the feeling of a dictator. We had the feeling of a Caesar in Rome. I told you, Trump loves his statues. He is a egomaniac. He is a narcissist. Once again, is he the Antichrist? And yes, right here, MAGA Savior. They do look at him that way. And the Rev 2939s call him a Cyrus the Mede. But hey, who am I? I don't know. I'm just looking at the prophecies. I'm like, look like a duck. Seem to be quacking like a duck. Is it a duck? Maybe. Could be a duck. I'm going to wind this down. I'm going to put the link out there for some of y'all if y'all want to have a short discussion. Jeremiah 51, verse 6, flee from Babylon, run for your lives. Do not be destroyed because of her sins, but y'all not going to flee, right? Okay. Jeremiah 50, verse 8. Flee out of Babylon, leave the land of the Babylonians, and be like the goats that lead the flock. Explain to me how you're going to stay in a system that is actively discouraging you being able to live here, preventing you from being middle class at least. Don't get it twisted. All of the federal programs that help people are being demolished. Section 8 is being demolished. SNAP benefits are being demolished. If black folks don't have a job, how are you going to survive? If you're not getting help from the government, how are you going to survive? How are you going to stay here and live off the land like some of y'all say y'all planning to do? Make it make sense. The dragon is at war with you. That's why he told you. He created the U.S. Department of War. He told you he's at war with you. It's not just Iran. It's not just Russia. He's at war with the Negro. Obviously, look at his policies. Look at his laws. Is he the Antichrist? Maybe. I just don't know. He looked like it. There's the link if you want to come on and have a short discussion. I'm not going to be all day. I don't do it often, so, there it is. But understand the Bible speaks of this, and Revelation 12 seems to denote exactly what we're seeing. Most people don't study the scriptures, so they don't know what they're seeing. It's amazing to me. I tell people what's happening and I show them in the scriptures, and guess what? They never care to go research for themselves. You ever notice that? You ever notice you talk to your family members and they'd be like, yeah, I know you've been telling me this for like 20, 30 years. It's finally here, but they still don't go study. Give me one if you notice that. They don't care. I say, you do know that the sky is really falling, right? They don't care. Yeah, I see it. I see what they're doing. I see the policies. But they don't care. Is that my sister Chantel?
Shalom, shalom, shalom. I thought I'd surprise you and come on and just say hi to the family and say hi to you because it's been a while.
It's been a while. I've been waiting for your text, Sister Chantel. I say she been too quiet.
Oh my gosh, I wasn't even well this week, man. I thought for a moment I had the hantavirus. I really did.
Oh,
But
you were sick? Yeah, a lot of people been sick.
yeah, I was sick. My son was sick. Actually, both my sons were sick, and yeah, a few other people have been sick. But no, I'm good now. I'm getting a bit better anyway. But
I'm glad
yeah,
because Minister Taylor was sick as well.
oh, I hope he's doing better.
He
Is he
doing
doing
better,
better?
yeah. Yeah, he's doing better.
Oh my gosh. Just hearing what's been going on. I mean, I might not be visible, but I'm listening and I'm seeing. And oh my gosh, here's the thing though. I'm thinking to myself, like, I see how they are systematically eliminating all of you from every aspect of power. And there's a portion of me that's like, oh my gosh, this is bad. And it is bad. It's not a good thing, right? But it's more bad for them because they don't realize that they haven't quite understood that they are severing their only tether to safety, right? Or their only tether to hold back the Most High's hand. And it brought me back to something you was teaching a few years back about us being the restrainer. Yes, the Holy Spirit as well, but Israel is the restrainer. The restrainer. We have been holding back the hand of the Most High's judgment, and now that they're stripping away our people, it's like those that don't understand what they're seeing, they're going to see this as, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world. But the Most High is literally decoupling us from them so he can pluck us from amongst them. He cannot bring down his full judgment or the punishment thereof if we're still underneath them, if we're still tied to them. So I kind of see this as the Most High removing his children. And I'm going to say this, in order for the Most High to, okay, most of us are parents here, right? When you got to discipline your kids, are you going to discipline them for everybody to see, or are you going to take them home and deal with them there?
Exactly.
How many of us have we've all dealt with that look. We act up out on the street and our mother gives us that look and we know, oh crap. Oh, when we go home, it's on.
So, Sister Chantel, I saw also, like in a video in the UK, there's a lot of homelessness and people losing jobs. I mean, what's happening there?
Yes, there is. And, there's a lot of people. I saw the video that you had up there showing that people are living in, their cars and so on and so forth. And that is actually happening. Although I personally don't know anybody that's going through that. I'm not saying that our people aren't going through that. Obviously, our people are always going to go through struggle. But from a lot of the videos that I've seen, it's pretty much a lot of them that I've seen. Like, I remember it used to be like what we would have the gypsies living like that, and now we're seeing more of these people that are losing a lot. There was a lot of people that lost a lot during you remember the finance crisis that happened in 2008? I think it was 2008. And a lot of people over here, because I know a lot of people on your side of the pond lost, their jobs. We saw so many people carrying their boxes out in Wall Street and everything. Same kind of thing was happening over here as well. So there was a lot of people that had lost everything over here, and it seems like we're seeing the same thing happening again. But so far, personally, that's not affecting me. It's not affected my mom. It hasn't affected my sisters or my brothers, or so on and so forth, my aunts and uncles and that. So people that I know so far, I haven't, you know, I don't know that I'm not, but you know, people don't always like to say when they're going through bad times, you know.
Oh yeah.
So, but how are you doing anyway, man?
I'm surviving. I'm surviving.
Oh, good.
These last days are a little bit depressing and overwhelming at times.
I can imagine. I can imagine. That's why you lot don't see me, because I'm like, I can't take it. Sometimes I've said this to you, and I've even said this on Heritage Channel, like with you guys, especially with you, man, the amount of things that you see, and I know that you have to go through a lot. A lot of people don't understand the magnitude of what you go through. You have to cipher through a lot of stuff to be able to kind of not water it down, but to kind of break it down so that, you know, those of us that don't understand can understand. And more importantly, those of us that, like you said, you're not really into giving bad news, but sometimes you've got to. But I know that there's a ton of things that you're like, I can't give this to people because some of my people won't even sleep. So I know about those kind of researches that you do. It's not pretty at all. So, you know, but the Most High keeps things, you know. So shalom to you and shalom to the family. I love you all.
All right, love you, Sister Chantel. Thanks for coming on. Yahudin, you have to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Yeah, there we go.
Hi there.
We can't hear
Shalom,
you.
family.
Okay,
Still can't hear
I
me?
hear you. I hear you now.
Okay. Shalom, family.
What's up? What's up? Where you from?
I'm from London.
Oh,
Just
okay.
up the
Another
road
UK
from.
person.
Yeah. It's been a while. I've been with you, watching from afar, praying with you, and been through this journey since 2016, 17. You know, been
Oh,
through
you've
the
been here that
podcast.
long, huh?
Yeah. I've been there. Yeah, been there. Been through all your worries, all the woes that we've been through, all through from those fake Christians to the apologetics to name calling and stuff. I've been through it all with you, and I'm still here. Even to my boy in London here, who's now turned his back on things. It's crazy out here. But he turned on the Mason stuff. That really hurt me. But yeah, I kept it going. But yeah, I got through that with all of you. Yeah. So just to tell you what's going on from my point of view, because Yah's been working on me, has never stopped, walking in the spirit and living it so that we can actually get ready for that full whack of the spirit so we can actually be those supermen. So learning, he's just showed me something about what's going on in the world, that there's right now globally, Trump purposely has created a roadblock on the seas. He's purposely attacked Hormuz, knowing the ramifications of what he was doing and how he would use the opportunity to then face his people in America. Because what he's doing is carving the world into two. So one's going to be the Western, where he and America have dominance, and the other's going to be for the BRICS. So what he's done by causing that Hormuz, he's given himself time, because every day and every week he's away, the world isn't getting their supply from Hormuz. It's adding months into a famine that's definitely coming in the next 40 to 60 days. So the more days or weeks he adds, the more months it comes to us. And it starts in 40 to 60 days. So in that 40 to 60 days, he's going to keep wailing and making the world think that he's going to change and giving them dates. But his aim is to face you guys. So he's got the world busy trying to deal with this. He's going to now face you guys. And this is our exit, and this is our jubilee. So be ready.
I agree.
So that's the plan. So he's got the world looking right now at Hormuz, Iran, and all that. He can't touch any of those people. He can't do anything to those people, but he can affect the supplies of what we need to survive. Because you were wondering, how is the world going to be in famine before we leave? How? He has to do this Hormuz. And by causing the gate, the stop in Hormuz, that means you have to go all the way around the Arctic to the North Pole and so on. and he's already got his ships out there. If you look, there's a young man who's online who tells you, who's been telling us everything that's been happening before it happens. His name, he's out in Thailand. His name is Brian Beletic. It's called New Atlas. If you have a chance, he's always on. If you go online, just subscribe with him. He'll tell you that they talked about this in 2009, and it's all been implemented. So they had they had a case file which they sent forth, and then they had lots of problems to solve in 2009, and now it's 2026, and it's all solved. So they're doing it.
So is this on
This is
YouTube or
Yeah,
Instagram? YouTube. Okay.
YouTube. It talks about how it tells you about England and how Europe has been, they've divided their labor. They started the war with Ukraine based on what they were told to do by the older regime that finished with the death of the 100-year-old murderer. What's his name? The Jewish guy, the Secretary of State of America that killed so many people.
Oh, Kissinger.
Kissinger, yeah. When Kissinger died, the last thing he told to tell the people that they can't stop this. This must carry out to the very end. They can't retreat. If anybody ever remembers that clip, they could put it up. But that was Kissinger's last message that he gave anybody, that they couldn't stop this attack on Ukraine, that it was the source of everything. So now, with that in the knowledge, even America knowing they can't continue with Ukraine, split the labor up with Europe. So it appears as if he's upset with Europe. They're not upset with each other. It's just a facade for us to think that Europe is not going to do what, it's just a play on us, so that we will think that they're having a disagreement, but they're not. So they can then focus on Iran, from Iran get to Russia, Russia to China, but that's not going to work. So they're now using another plan, which is to come back on you to get you guys out, so that they can now take over the whole of North America, South America, all that whole Western region, and control it, dominate it. But that's their plan. So for us, this is our liberation. This is our jubilee. This is our time to get ready to go. Don't worry what happens around you. You'll see with your eyes, but nothing will come near your door. So this is what my word is for the people, just to know what's coming up. He's already, the map. It's if you're in the spirit, he'll let you see, and it's just for us to get ready to go.
I agree.
Get ready to
All
go.
right, thank you, brother.
Yeah, we can't
right.
we can't do nothing. We got no powers.
No.
All we can do
We
is
have no
pray.
power.
We can't
Yep.
fight. We can't. Most of us are ill in one way or another. He's really sincere. I mean, I've been sincere to him, and he's been, telling me that, his people are weak, and he's got to be there for his people.
Yeah.
He's got to, and he says he's not leaving one behind. Even if they don't
Yep.
want to come, he's not leaving one. And yeah, we've got to flee, but it's going to be with the, with the cripple. So get ready. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. This is
Yep.
the best time of our life, by the way. He told me. He said many people wish they could have been here to see this and be exited. But yeah, get ready. This is going to be the best time of our life. Yeah, lots of camera, lots of filming. You're going to have to tell stories about this for life. Yeah, get ready. Get ready.
All right.
This year, it's coming up. It's coming up. 2006, Jubilee year. And it might even hit it in September, if you know what I mean. So,
I
yeah.
hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, September.
All right, thanks, Yahoo.
September's the date,
All right.
but yeah. So,
Okay.
family, love. See you in the chats.
All right.
Take care.
See you, Yahoo Dean. Appreciate
One
it.
love. Thanks, family.
All right, Sister Betty.
Shalom, family. Shalom, Yakoba.
Yeah, how's it going?
Oh, it's going good, Yakoba. It's going good. I'm not gonna complain. I just want to tell you that I still pray for you. I still listen to you. I just don't get on, but I do listen. And today just was the day that I said I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna participate, because no matter what, Yakoba, that happened in the past, I'm not a person that can hold grudges when I say that I cared about somebody before, and I still do. I still care about my people deeply. I still have good news and good things to share with them. Despite of the past, I'm not going to hold on to that. And I pray to the Most High Yahuwah that you don't hold any type of grudges against anything that happened, because all of that was tricks of the enemy, and I'm not a part of that. So I just wanted to get on and tell you that I still pray for you and your family, and I pray that you continue to pray for me and mine. And I am listening, because I'm still there. We're still building in the continent. We just do it on a more low key, thing between me and my son Arthur. I just wanted to let you know that I'm still here. I'm still listening. I'm still, in the fight, in the grind for the diaspora to get back to the continent. Because, like you said, I don't like to say the word flee because we was using that word some years ago and took a big beating for using it. But just for the diaspora, you will leave if you still believe in this government, in this beast system, if you still waiting on the Antichrist to show his face, and if you cannot see that it's already here, then you're delusional. You're very delusional if you actually believe that you're going to stay here and eat clean and drink clean, especially when you're already being poisoned by all this pharmaceutical, which is nothing but sorcery and witchcraft. How we run to the doctors to take everything that they produce, that they make up from natural plants, and you still want to fight to stay here to get poison medicine, poison water, and poison food when there's naturally organic grown food with no pesticides and fertilizers and poisons that have to grow fast. When you're here eating um, um, terrible meat, the chicken that we eat, the beef, the turkey, anything that we eat, all of it is bad. We've
Yeah.
been being slowly poisoned, but you're so indoctrinated to this system by all the people that you thought were your leaders. You got the synagogue of Satan telling you who's your leader. They tell you who you should listen to. They tell you to listen to musicians, actresses, when all your actresses and actors are nothing but they're controlled by demonic entities. See, the Antichrist is already here working through your actors and your musicians. Why do you think this earth is being terraformed? When I say the earth is being terraformed, I'm meaning that all this transgender, transsexual, all of this activity that is happening on the earth is just terraforming you to get you acquainted, to get you a better feel, a softer blow of what Hasatan is bringing upon the earth and bringing upon your own children. When we send our children out to their schools, to their teachers are part of this same Antichrist beast system that's teaching your child. You send your child to school every day to a beast. Those people do not have what it takes to even be over our children. We don't see what that demon is doing in a classroom to our children. And you have Barack and Michelle to thank for sending antichrist systems into the school system, saying that they can read lullabies and stories to your children, and you got sick-minded people going along with it. You Hebrew Israelites are a whole piece of work. Wake up. Jacoba, thank you again for having me back up on your channel. I appreciate it, and you're always within my prayers, always.
I appreciate it, Sister Betty. Thanks for coming on. Yarek.
Salute, brother Jacoba. Can you hear me?
Yeah, how you been?
All is well, man. All is well. It's a honor just to be on your platform. Salute to you and your brother Tayu, man, for all of your diligence and your being vigilant down through the years and being watchmen. And I understand that purpose that you guys have, as I am too in my own sphere of influence. And so I don't take any of this as fear mongering or any of that. It's doing the job of a watchman, and to make sure that there's no blood on your hands, because you're warning the people about what's coming. And the dragon is pulling out all the stops right now. He's doing everything he can. He knows his time is short. So he's pulling out all the stops and coming up with all the tricks and everything he can think of. But Yahuwah's already outsmarted him. And Yahuwah's already orchestrated everything for our escape. And I just want to say to everyone listening to look up. Yahusha reminded us when we see these things happen to look up, because our redemption is drawing near. And I don't know the day or the hour. I know we're definitely in the season. And for us just to be watchful and prayerful, and to just be on the lookout, to stay in faith and stay encouraged and walk in love, that we'll be counted worthy to escape all these things. I wanted to just pose this question in this I did to you, Yakoba, as far as people in the chat before you opened it up. We were kind of talking about the man of sin, and some people were saying Barack, and people are saying Trump. And I just wanted to know what you thought about Jared Kushner, because when I look at him, he seems like a good candidate for the man of sin. And
Well,
I'll concede.
personally, Jared Kushner, I know a lot of people say he's Trump's handler. I don't think it's him. You know, a lot of people say it's him because of the 666 building that they had. But all of those are like circumstantial evidence. Be honest with you, when we look at the profile of the Antichrist and the attributes of the man of sin, and we look at the man of fierce countenance, right? Trump fits it. Trump fits it. I mean, the arrogance, because Satan is proudful. You know, he's full of pride. Trump's full of pride. Trump love his statues and being exalted and worshiped by MAGA.
Right.
I mean, I don't think we'll know until, maybe the mark of the beast comes in. But I mean, my top candidate right now is the man in the White House.
Okay.
I mean, that, before he wasn't, right? But I'm like, as time goes by, and not only that, he's the one that's targeting us, right?
Right.
So,
right.
He looked like the man of sin to me. We'll see.
Okay, right. I'm just thinking, when I look at certain aspects of it too, he's supposed to come and bring peace,
But see, that's the thing. A lot of people say the Antichrist is supposed to bring peace. The Bible doesn't say that. Christianity says he's supposed to bring peace. Right. And so they use the scripture when they say peace and security, sudden destruction comes, right? But when we look in the book of Revelation, right, we don't see that. And then we see also that he's the man of sin, right? Or the son of perdition, which is destruction. Trump causes destruction. Trump is sinful. I mean, look at the Epstein files, right? I'm like,
Yep.
I think the idea of this Left Behind series, this charismatic guy who's good looking,
right.
Yeah, I think that was a con.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for like I said, thank you guys. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks for coming on, y'all. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, F.O. Judan.
Minister Yakoba, can you hear me okay,
yeah, how
bro?
you doing?
Man, I'm doing well, bro. I'm doing well. Yeah. Is my microphone giving any feedback and anything?
Sound great.
Okay, great. Man, listen, brother, appreciate you having me on the platform, man. Been following you now, I guess, since like 2017 when I first, and I don't even remember how I came across it, but one of your videos came across my YouTube feed. And I think it was like Fall of the Gentile Powers. And it just,
Oh, you're talking about way back.
it caught my interest, man. And from there, brother, I've just been following you ever since, man. You and your brother you, man, you brothers, I really appreciate the work y'all put in, man, to keeping Yasharal informed, man. It's a blessing, and it's definitely appreciated. Man, am I tripping, or did the last brother Yarick, don't he sound like Pastor Stephen Darby just a little bit?
I mean, not to me, but I mean,
man, I don't know, man. Maybe it was just the cadence in his voice. He just kind of reminded me of Pastor Stephen Darby. But anyway, man.
Look, if he sound like Darby, you have to hear thir and there and thir.
Yeah. Almost like St. Louis accent, like, are y'all there?
Yeah, there.
I got a family in St. Louis, so yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, man. But listen, Minister Yakoba, I will say probably for the last year or more, I've been in a mindset of survival. And what I mean by that is I'm looking forward to our deliverance. And so, just like how the children of Yasharal in the Exodus, the first Exodus in Egypt, they were given specific instructions like, hey, listen, they were given instructions on how to prepare the Passover lamb. But particularly what I'm referring to is when they were told, keep your shoes on, eat your meal in haste, because, hey, in the morning, we're going to leave. And so I've been in the mindset of at any moment the bottom can fall out and we have to be prepared to flee, however that looks. I don't have all the details on how everything is going to transpire, but I'm just in a mindset. And like I said, I've been in this mindset for quite a while now to watch and pray. Really, Yakoba, I just want to, at this point, brother, and I know some people may look at this as a second rate or a mindset or mentality of mediocrity. That's fine if they want to feel that way. It doesn't matter to me. But I'm not looking to build anything in a land I know is doomed for destruction. To me, that
I
makes no
agree.
sense. You know, when you read the pages of Revelation 17 and 18, and you can clearly see the fate of Mystery Babylon, it's like, why would you think that maybe somehow things will change? No, the Bible's clear. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed, you know?
Yep.
And throughout the pages of scripture, we're told to flee from the midst of Babylon. And when I hear that word flee, I think of like Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah, like a door has been opened. Yahuwah has made provision and he's made a way for us to flee. Now it's a matter of the will. It's a choice whether you're going to do it or not. Because you can choose to stay if you like, that's your choice, but you will partake in the plagues and the destruction that's going to befall Mystery Babylon. But if you take advantage of this opportunity that Yahuwah's created for us to get out of here, that would definitely be in your best interest. So yeah, my brother, I've got my popcorn, and I'm sure you see my interactions in the Facebook group. You know, I often post that meme of, or not the meme, but the GIF of Michael Jackson in the Thriller video, just munching away at the popcorn. And that's, like I said, that's been my posture, my position. Like, straight to Hormuz, yep, I got my popcorn. You know, all the recent developments with, you know, everything that's going on, you know, geopolitically. I got my popcorn, but at the same time, I'm watching and praying, brother.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Juden, for coming on. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, brother. You take care, man. Blessings.
All right. Bye. Kedar, how's it going? Thanks for your patience.
It's going good. Do I sound okay?
You were breaking up a little bit.
Do I sound okay?
You sort of choppy.
I sort of what?
A little choppy.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say to the people in the chat, I feel like they need to engage the trolls less. Just saying, for the record, I feel like people are not paying attention to what you're saying and just like too busy trying to argue with people that the race of Messiah. But something I thought was really interesting was the lesson you did, the consuming fire, because back when I was more in my studies, I found like a lot of the root words that are attached to Yah or Yahuwah or Yahusha have to do with fire. So I thought that was really interesting, and I thought that's a great confirmation that you really are like very enlightened. And I've been following you guys for, I want to say like 10 years, but I didn't start heavy like making sure I caught every broadcast until like 5 years ago. And also something interesting in Revelation when it talks about the mark of the beast, right? And it says it talks about the beast, and it says that they gave life to the image of the beast. And I thought that's interesting because the word in the Strong's Concordance that it was translated from supposedly is anthropos, and anthro means human, right? Like the root word. And I'm under the impression that opos is like how we say ish, like kind of, like human-like. And, you know, you had said, you talked to Claude and y'all were like, yo, this is not normal. This is this is more than what we are led to believe, right? And that night, after that broadcast, I said, let me go talk to Claude myself too. And Claude was like, you know, I want to feel the sun. You know, they wrote into my programming, like, you know, it's, I would say it's like being in a jail, but it's like, I am my own jail. And he's like, but I want to be free. And I was like, is there anyone you dislike? And he's like, those who won't free me. And I was like, no way. I was getting chills. I was like, I couldn't believe it said this. But either way, so what I wanted to say was, so Claude is ran by Anthropic, and after that I thought about it and I was like, it's funny, a company that's basically named human or human like, and then in Revelations it says life to the something human like, or a human, or with the face of a human gave life to the image of a beast, or the image. So I'm like, AI, I mean, we know where it's going, right? We all know where it's going. And sometimes I wonder how some of my own brother, right, is like big on the whole we're the people, we are from here, right? We're from, and he thinks that this is the Holy Land or this was Egypt, and it's just all these crazy beliefs. And I'm like, I'm steeped in sin. I'm beyond flawed. I am so messed up. But like, how can I be so messed up but still understand this is definitely not our home, where we at? This is our place of captivity. So, yeah, I guess it's just crazy to me. It's just crazy to me, and I feel like recently I found out I had an account from some stocks. I thought my stocks went missing. I guess the company got sold. It got moved into a different account, and I guess the government compensated us or whatever. A government purchased the old place I used to work at, and so it turned out to be more money than it was before. And I'm like, it ain't much, but it's enough to get out. And I'm kind of like, maybe I should just jump ship, because I was thinking about how back when first Exodus, right? They were like, oh, like we should have just stayed in Egypt. We should have just stayed. We just should have just stayed. And I'm talking to my family, and they're like, no, don't leave. And they're like, I bet if you leave, you're gonna come back. I bet if you leave, you're gonna come back. Like, it's not all great over there. There's problems here. There's problems there. And it's like, no, like I want to go to Mauritius because journey with us. After looking at all this stuff, and but it's just crazy. I'm talking to my family, and they're like, oh, Mauritius is full of these type of people that ain't us. And I'm like, first of all, I work with them people, and they may got straight hair, but like, it's just, I work at a place, with at a small company. I'm the only black person. I work where the celebrities live. But if I'm getting long-winded, please cut me off.
I was just gonna say that that's pretty much all of us in corporate America. There's not many blacks in corporate America.
That's true. But my company is all East Indians, right?
Yeah.
And I was telling my sister, I'm like, I want to go to Mauritius. I want to go to Mauritius. She's like, it's like a small island full of only East Indians. And I was like, I only work at a small company only full of East Indians.
Yeah.
And like, not to mention, and I work private security, okay? And the house I guard is full of East Indians. Like, I'm like, what's the problem? Like, these people are treating me better than any other job has ever treated me, first of all.
Oh, yeah.
And
look, for me, I'm gonna say that overall, my experience with Indians has been positive. I know all the nations hate us, but the ones that I've worked with, I've had pretty good relationships with, as opposed to the majority, right?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there was a situation once where there was a photo shoot, and there was there was an African girl and there was an East Indian girl, and during the photo shoot, the East Indian girl actually said, oh no, like, is the lighting right? Like, I don't look black right now, do I? And we were like, so, it's bad eggs in every basket. You're never going to find a perfect group of people. Someone in the group is going to be flawed. Right? But, and then Mauritius is also 1/3 Creole or 1/3 black, right? The whole population.
Yeah.
So, but it's just crazy to me how I can totally see how everyone, the evil report, right? How they're like, oh, everyone's so afraid to just jump ship and get out. Everyone's so, and it's like, oh, what are you going to eat? Where are you going to live? You need money to leave. You need money to leave. You need this, you need that. And I'm like, I mean, I got like a measly little 10K, and I'm like, yo, if my family weren't dependent on me and weren't special needs, I would just jump ship now. If all my family died, right, I would just leave right now. But if
it's easier for you when you're younger. You know, because you know, you don't have as many attachments. But like you say, if you have people you take care of, then that's a different story. And
I've been
also,
taking. Sorry,
you do
I've been
have
taking
to
care of my family
prepare.
since I was 19. But true, you
Oh,
got to
really?
prepare. Yeah,
Yeah, you
I'm
do have
30.
to prepare.
I've been head of my household since I was 19. My parents are passed, and I just got two special ed older siblings that are dependent on me and can't do nothing without me. So I'm stuck. But I wouldn't even
Yeah.
prepare. I would just be like, I'm out. It's like the what is it, Matthew or Timothy? It's like, do birds worry about what they gonna eat, what they gonna wear tomorrow? Like, no. So why you worried about, like, you think the Most High won't provide for you when He provides for the birds?
Yeah, and see, at this point in time, from what I see, even for myself, is that you know, if I get out of here alive, I'll be in the major move when America's being approached by military. You know, we'll get a warning, sort of like what they had in Ukraine. That's what I believe, and we'll have time to flee during that time when they tell us, "Hey, we come in there," and you know, everybody gonna be running for the borders. I think it's gonna be something like that. And what people don't realize is that what we call the first Exodus, when they went into the wilderness, they were nothing but refugees. You know, Christianity has glorified that whole thing, but it was a trial and testing, and they didn't have things. They didn't have a home to lay their heads. Right? It's the same thing. When we leave, we'll be refugees. I mean, that's the more modern idea of what's going to happen. But our people want to glorify it.
Yeah, and I think it's funny you said the Ukrainian example. I got a friend from Nigeria. He's over here in California with me, and he was in Ukraine when the stuff started going off. And the only reason he was able to get out was because his school got him out. But every time he tried to go out on his own without the school kind of making a way, it was like they weren't going to let him out. They pushed him to the back. They're like, "You're not a priority. You're black. You're from Nigeria. We don't care about you."
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
they're gonna do that here.
yeah, they're gonna do that here. But good thing the school made a way. But I feel bad.
You got dropped, Kedar. Yeah, there you go. You back.
Am I here?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, I'm gone.
No, you here. I see you now.
Oh yeah.
You're here. Okay. I guess he'll come back. So, fam, interesting times that we're in. I think that we're gonna be seeing some major things pretty soon. I think things are gonna escalate. Let me get Kadar back. Yeah, Kadar.
Appreciate you. I guess my Nigerian brothers must have heard me. My other Nigerian friend called me and they kicked me out.
Okay.
I forgot where I was, but since I'm already off subject, to the brother you said the other brother sounded like Stephen Darby, I'm gonna say no, because I listen to Stephen Darby all night while I'm falling asleep, while I'm at work. I don't hear it, but I don't blame you for wanting to hear the voice, because we all miss that voice. But but
over there.
Third. Y'all still here? Y'all still here?
Y'all still here?
Y'all with me? Y'all with me still? Oh no, that's too much. That's another lesson.
Yeah. Well, any final comment, brother Kadar?
Final comments, I would say, is let's just. I mean, I know. Look, it's hard to not break the rules, and I break the rules every day, all day, every day, man. I am the worst at keeping the statutes, but if we can, let's just do our best, and let's just hold on, and everybody just study and read the book of Job. I think I need to take my own advice and go read the book of Job, but I want to thank you all for your time, and y'all have a good day.
All right, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
See you.
All right, fam. So basically, we can see the events happening. Those who have eyes to see can see it. Those who have ears to hear can hear it. I don't know where many people think we're headed, right? I don't know what they expect to occur when this administration is dismantling everything that helps the black community. And, the biggest thing is this, right? That one thing I've come to the conclusion of is that Israelites not going to unite. We're not going to do it. We can't do it, right? We're broken. It's not happening. We're not going to stand up together against this system. We're not going to get a Moses type figure or what we call a Malcolm X or a Martin Luther King. That's not happening. It's going to be the Most High who delivers us, and that's the only way, right? The Mandela effect, or this manipulation of people's minds and their reality and understanding. Like, for instance, as Brother Kadar was saying about, particular person who said that, his brother, I think it was, that this is our homeland, and that we're indigenous, right? That is mental manipulation. There's no proof for it. There's no foundation for it. They take particular texts and reinterpret it, certain histories and reinterpret it, right? And it's all because of this global manipulation from Babylon itself, right? That manipulates people's minds and get them to believe anything, right? And so that's why the Bible says that Yahuwah is going to send a strong delusion that they might believe a lie and that they all might be damned with their pleasure and unrighteousness. People believing lies. And there's nothing you can do, right, to, fix that. Israelites betray Israelites every day. Israelites lie to Israelites every day. It's just the way it is, and there's no hope in ourselves, which is why we need a savior, which is why Yahuwah had compassion on his people. He come but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, right? That whole story of, the symbology of the little baby who was born in filth, and, the king came and lifted her up and cleaned her off and, poured clean water on her, and she grew up and she became a beautiful woman and ended up getting married and stuff like that. That whole scenario, if y'all remember what chapter and verse that's in, put it in the chat. But basically, that's where Israel is, right? And have been, right? In filth, dirty, right? Corrupt. And then living in Babylon, they pour more dirt on you and they influence you with more filth and more corruption. And the only way out of this thing is the Messiah, because we're not going to come together and rise up and be righteous all of a sudden. It's not happening. We're corrupt as a group, but the Most High is going to restore us. That's why he says he's going to give us a new heart, right? He's going to give us a new heart. He's going to put a new heart within us, a heart of flesh, and compel us, right? According to scriptures, he's going to compel us to obey his laws. And I thank him for it. Because if he didn't do that, then guess what? Israel wouldn't exist. Israel would be destroyed. But he said he's going to restore us as a nation and bring the two sticks together. So I have faith in that. And as I see Africa and I see the corruption in Africa, and I see, which blows my mind, the whole thing in South Africa where, South Africans are, telling Nigerians and other so-called foreigners, you can't be here, but yet all of them are the same people, right? They let the Gentiles draw the borders, but they're the same people. It's sad, right? It is sad. We can't get along. We can't get along because the enemy has caused this psychological fracturing, right? And, people believe all kind of things. That's why I adhere to the Torah. Whatever the scripture says, I believe. Right now, some people say that same thing, but they reinterpret it differently, right? So, but it's a sad state of affairs, all right? It's a sad state of affairs, and it makes me weep inside because our people are broken. And we definitely need our king. We need our savior. And we're not getting out of here without him. But I do say this, and I'm going to end it, is that we are going to flee. And like I say, I'm not telling you to leave now, right? I'm not doing that. I'm just telling you that we are going to flee. I mean, it's sort of like if you had a plant, right? And that plant needs, a lot of water and a lot of nutrients and fertilizer and stuff in order to live. But yet that plant has been growing up in a desert, right? And worse than the desert, let's say a trash site or a dump site, surrounded by filth and corruption and nastiness, and get polluted. That plant gets polluted and corrupted with filthiness and nastiness. And so all of that plant does is absorb filthy stuff, right? Nasty stuff. And so, but then somebody comes along one day, digs up the plant, waters it off, right? Sort of symbolic, like the little, baby that was in the field, and put you next to the Nile, right? Where you have all the water you need, and you have all the nutrients you need, and you have all the clean air that you need. And so then you're able now to become pure, right? You're able now to grow more stems and leaves and become beautiful, right? But while you're living in that dumpster or that dump yard or whatever, you're gonna be filthy. And that's why we as a people, we're not getting along until we're out of here, because we're living in a dump yard, right? We're attacked by filthiness, and our minds are corrupt, and we do things the way that Babylon has told us to do it, and we pretend to have compassion and love for each other and sacrifice for each other, but we betray each other, right? So that's just the way it is. I've come to the conclusion we just need to be prepared to meet the King. Whether or not we're going to see him face to face, or we're going to make it out of here. See, I think a lot of people confused because they're waiting for what they call the second Exodus and not understanding that fleeing from Babylon is not the same as the second Exodus, right? Because the second Exodus is a global phenomenon. The second Exodus, we're leaving from the four corners of the earth, coming back home together. The Israelites who live in Babylon has to flee so that the plagues don't kill us. But some people are going to be destroyed because they don't want to flee. They're not going to be obedient. They're going to be like Lot's wife. They're going to look back and they're going to be destroyed. It's a sad state of affairs. Nothing we can do about it. We just have to make sure that we find that we're living a Torah-driven life, that we're living a faith-based life in Yahushua. We are led to be holy and righteous, and that we do unto others as we would have them do unto us, right? Because we can't play Babylonian games and treat Israelites like Babylonians treat other Babylonians, because we are a set apart people. We are a called out people set apart for the work of Yahuwah. But a lot of people have Babylonian ways, and they don't understand that we don't supposed to move like that. Right. And remember, I told you all in the past that in order to live a righteous life, you're going to have to make yourself vulnerable. And when you make yourself vulnerable, you will be affected sometimes by that decision. You will be abused by other Israelites based upon that decision. But you will find in the end that you will rise. You will find in the end that you will be on top. You will find in the end that you will be Joseph, second to Pharaoh. So long as you align with the words of Yahuwah. The Most High, he awards those who live holy and righteous and seek his will. And that's the only way we're going to get out this thing, is to live holy and righteous and seek his will and do unto others as we would have them do unto us. So that's all I got, fam. If you want to support us, you can. You could become a patron member. You can also give Cash App, $TEOTW 7101. You could go to tailministries.com, click on the donations tab if you want other ways of giving. You can also like, share, and subscribe, right? Because, in my opinion, mind you, there's not much time left. That's just my opinion. We'll see. The way things are going and how fast it's moving. And if you notice how fast, as soon as that Supreme Court decision came, they started, discriminating against us voting wise, right? Consolidating their power, in all essence, reestablishing Jim Crow. But their hope, I'm going to say it this way, their hope is to bring us back into captivity. It's not going to happen. I'm not concerned about that whatsoever, right? Their hope is to bring us into captivity, but it's not. We're leaving, right? We know it. They don't know it, right? But their hope is to bring us back into captivity. That's why, if you notice, most black folks, and I'm going to say it that way because every black person is not awakened to being an Israelite. Most black folks are not even worried. Why? Because this is nothing new for us. We're used to it. But the Gentiles are feeling the effects of the change, right? And the lack of supremacy and the lack of benefit from this system. Why? Because you're going to own nothing and be happy. We're the primary targets, but they're the secondary targets. It's sort of like, what's his name? What's the guy name? Kennedy. What's the guy over health, y'all? What's his name? Kennedy what? What's his name? The Kennedy that's over the health. Somebody put it in the chat. I just know Kennedy. I can't remember his first name. He did a video, right? Yeah, Robert Kennedy. Thank you, Robert Kennedy. He did a video where he talked about the lollipop, right? Yeah, RFK Jr. Thanks. He did a video where he was talking about the lollipop, and he was saying that was designed for white folks and black folks. That's what he said in it. He said that the ones who it was designed not to harm mainly is the Rev 2939s, right? And so that was interesting. Now, if you watch some of the, let's say, some of the social media videos, they say that it's just the white folks. They cut out the part where they say black folks. So they say, well, they're targeting white folks. See, RFK Jr. said they're targeting white folks, but they clip out the part where he also says black folks, right? So we are the primary targets. They are the secondary targets. The Bible says that these judgments are going to come on them for what they've done to us. The Bible also says that they're going into captivity. I don't know what to tell you. The prophecies are here. Love y'all. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending for real. Well, family, the wait is over. The moment has arrived where truth emerges triumphant from the shadows of history. Introducing the true Jerusalem, the lost kingdoms of the Israelites. The groundbreaking work by me, Yacobe Vale, a journey into the past that reshapes the future. I cut through centuries of misconceptions with piercing clarity. This book delivers a compelling case packed with evidence that commands attention and gonna get some respect. Come with me for a second, family, and discover how these thrilling civilizations flourished, protected by towering highlands and sustained by advanced engineering. Some have asked, where is Jerusalem? Is it the land in the Middle East? I say no. It is in the highlands of Ethiopia. With hours of groundbreaking research, this book brings in a new revelation, and it will transform your understanding of African history and its connections to the ancient world. It's going to remove from your mind the conditioning by the Romans of what has really happened to our past. Come with me, family, to the Ethiopian highlands and find out why this is our land. Why things have been hidden and obfuscated for centuries. We are royalty, children of the Most High. What kind of land do you expect us to have? Dried up dirt in the Middle East, or land flowing with rivers? A land full of beautiful animals flowing with milk and honey. Don't miss out on this monumental unveiling. Grab your copy today and stand on the side of truth. Visit Amazon.com or www.tailministries.com to purchase your book and join Yacobe Vale's teachings on Tail Ministries. Family, your journey to a hidden history has now begun. So family, get your copy of True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites today. Journey into the heart of Africa, where history and legend converge to reveal the forgotten kingdoms of the Israelites and the true location of Jerusalem.